We're talking about leading healthy, growing, multiplying groups. And we're talking about 8 habits of the effective small group leader. And today we want to talk about the 6th habit, which is mentoring. So we want to be dreaming about leading a healthy group, praying daily for our group members, inviting new people to our group, contacting the people that come to our group every week, and then preparing for a great group meeting. But the key to becoming a multiplying group is mentoring an apprentice to lead a group without you. Mentoring somebody, making a disciple who is capable of making disciples. It is only through the power of multiplication that we see the gospel spread exponentially, and where we see the power of the gospel through multiplication to reach and change the world. So let's talk about mentoring. And when I'm talking about mentoring an apprentice to lead a group, I'm talking about cooperating with God in what He's doing in their lives to develop them specifically to lead a group. You're not just discipling them in general, you're discipling them to do something, which is to lead a healthy, growing, multiplying group. Why should we do this? Well, that's what Jesus did. He poured His life into a small group of men who, after He left, these men were able to multiply it into the lives of others until the gospel spread throughout the whole known world. Paul was a multiplier. Everywhere he went, he always had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 young men with him doing ministry, watching him do ministry, doing ministry with him, and then able to do ministry without him. So when we are talking about mentoring and multiplying leaders, we're talking about following in the footsteps of Jesus. We're talking about following in the footsteps of Paul. Timothy, Titus, Silas, they were all leading churches because Paul had developed them to do that. Why do we want to multiply leaders? Because it uses the power of multiplication. So let me tell you very simply some keys to being effective at developing new leaders. First of all, where are you going to get them? Pray for them. You say, well, I don't have anybody to disciple. I don't have anybody who's an apprentice. Where do I get them? Pray for them. When I was 19 years old, I caught the vision of multiplication. And so I began to pray every night for 2 weeks. And I said, God, give me a disciple so that I not only lead someone to Christ, but I'm able to help them grow so that they can disciple others. Give me a disciple. I prayed every night for 2 weeks. And interestingly, at the end of 2 weeks, a young man who lived in the same dorm that I lived in came up to me and said, Dave, I know that you spend time with God. I see something in your life I need to have. Would you disciple me? What a perfect answer to prayer. Jesus said, pray the Lord of the harvest that He'll send forth laborers into the harvest. This is a prayer God loves to answer. Well, that young man named Daryl, he and I met every night for 2 weeks. And every night when we got together, we prayed God would give us more disciples. Interestingly, after meeting together for 2 weeks, another young man came up to us and he said, well, I've been seeing what you guys have been doing. I've been hearing what you've been talking about. I want in on that. Can I join your group? So we prayed every week, every night for 2 weeks, and God heard our prayer and gave us another disciple. Well, we continued to pray every night for 2 weeks, and exactly 2 weeks later, a guy named Jim came up, and we were getting started. He said, I want to join you. And we said, well, how do you even know about us? And he said, well, he's my roommate, and he's changed so much. I want whatever he has. All he talks about is this discipling group. I want to be a part of your small group. So we went from me to me and Daryl to me and Daryl and Tim to me and Daryl and Tim and Jim. Well, we kept praying. By the end of the semester, we had 12 to 15 guys meeting with us every night. It was incredible what God was doing. As a result of that, a few months later, Tim and Jim and Daryl all started their own groups. Some of the other guys kept growing and developing. 2 of them actually became directors of large missions agencies overseeing hundreds of missionaries. Never underestimate the power of multiplication, and never underestimate the power of prayer to position you to be a person God will send disciples to. So you need to pray for disciples. Then you need to pour your life into your disciples. I mentioned my neighbor when we moved to Las Vegas who was an atheist. He moved in at the same time we did. We started inviting him every Monday night to share dinner with us. And over the course of that time, he became a member of our group. He and his wife were born again. They both got baptized. They began to serve in our church. They began to reach out to others. He started his own group, and then he started 2 groups, and then he multiplied those groups, and then he became a pastor on the staff of the church that I was starting, and today he's a church planter, leading his own church. But for 4 years, we met with Randy and his wife, Michael, every Monday night. We poured our lives into them. We taught them what we knew and what they would need. So you need to pray that God will give you a disciple. You need to pour your life in them. Third, you need to make sure you're a good disciple and a good group leader, that your life, you're in the Word, that you're praying. And then as a group leader, that you're practicing these habits we've been talking about. You have a dream for your group. If you want them to multiply the group, you have to have a dream of multiplying the group. You are inviting new people. You are contacting new people. You're praying for your group members consistently. What they see in you is what they're going to produce and what you're going to see produced in their lives. So you want to be an example. Beyond that, you want to develop them as a leader. And there's really a 3-step process of development. And that is, they're in the group with you, and you talk to them, and now they are intentionally watching you. You are leading the group, but they are watching you to see exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. So you do it, and they watch. The second step of the process is you both are doing it together. Maybe you're doing different aspects of the group. One's doing the opening, and one's doing the Bible discussion, and one's doing the closing. You're leading different aspects of the group, but you're doing it together. One of you is the main leader one week, and one's the main leader the next week. First step, you do it, they watch. Second step, you do it together. The third step is they're doing it, and now you're watching. You're not giving any leadership in the group. You're letting them lead the group, and you're watching and encouraging them. And then the fourth step, and the last thing you want to do if you want to mentor a disciple, is you've got to multiply. You've got to intentionally have a date, have a time, have a plan so that your group goes from 1 group to 2. And there's 2 ways primarily to do that. One is take your apprentice and a few others out of your group, and they go start a brand new group, and you stay with your existing group. The other way to do it is your apprentice stays, and now they're leading that group, and then you start a brand new group, and you get a brand new apprentice. I like to use the second one. I'm leaving my apprentice there to they have some people to work with, and then I am intentionally starting a brand new group. Well, there's a whole lot more we could say about mentoring, but this is the secret to multiplication. Mentoring is the key to multiplication, and multiplication is the key to reaching the world with the gospel of Jesus Christ.